Greetings. For this year's Roots Weekend, Alternate Roots has teamed up with Bancha Lenguas Language Justice Collective to interpret from Spanish to English and English to Spanish. We are a collective of language justice workers based in Bulbancha, the Choctaw word for the occupied land of New Orleans. Bulbancha means the place where many languages are spoken. Saludos! Para este fin de semana de Roots, Alternate Roots formó un equipo con el colectivo de justicia del lenguaje Bancha Lenguas para interpretar del español al inglés y del inglés al español. Somos una colectiva de trabajadores de justicia del lenguaje, basados en Bulbancha, la palabra choctaw para el territorio ocupado de Nueva Orleans. Bulbancha significa el lugar donde se hablan muchos idiomas. Como trabajadores de justicia del lenguaje, nos esforzamos a crear un espacio para que todos aquí presentes puedan entender y ser entendidas en el idioma en que nos sentimos más poderosos. As language justice workers, we strive to create space for everyone here to understand and be understood in the language in which we feel most powerful. En Bancha Lenguas, trabajamos hacia la inclusividad de género en nuestro trabajo por la justicia del lenguaje. At Bancha Lenguas, we work towards gender inclusivity in our language justice work. Notará que estamos usando la letra E al final de las palabras binarias. Esto no es un error. Es nuestro intento de crear lenguaje más inclusivo e incluir personas de todos los géneros. You will notice us using the letter E at the end of gendered words. It's not an error. It's us attempting to create more inclusive language and include people of all genders. For our viewers watching the live stream, please know that we are providing interpretation from Spanish to English and English to Spanish using a conference call line. So if you need Spanish interpretation, call 559-671-2925 and you'll automatically be able to join the conference call line. You will see the number pop up in the screen and in the chat. Para quienes nos acompañan hoy, por favor sepan que estamos proveyendo interpretación del español al inglés y del inglés al español, usando una línea de conferencia. O sea que, si usted necesita interpretación al español, llame a 559-671-2925 y automáticamente podrá unirse a la línea de conferencia. Usted verá el número en la pantalla y en el chat. To create this space together, a few things. Please speak at a slow and steady pace. Please speak loudly and clearly. Please try to say the full name of organizations or other acronyms. Keep an eye on the chat in case we send a message to slow down or to speak up. Keep your mic on mute when you're not speaking, and if you have headphones, please use them. One speaker at a time. Interpreters can only interpret one voice at a time. We don't want to be in the position of having to decide which voice to privilege over the other. Para crear un espacio juntos, algunas cositas. Por favor, hable a un paso lento y constante. Hable en voz alta y clara. Intente decir el nombre completo de los acrónimos, por ejemplo, de diferentes organizaciones. Échele un ojo al chat por si enviamos un mensaje para que hable más lentamente o en voz más alta. Mantenga su micrófono en silencio si no lo está usando y si tienes audífonos con micrófono, por favor, úsalos. Una persona a la vez. Los intérpretes solamente pueden interpretar una voz a la vez. No queremos estar en la posición de tener que decidir cuál voz privilegiar sobre la otra. And lastly, don't suffer in silence. If you have any problems hearing us or the speakers, please send a message in the chat. Y por último, no sufra en silencio. Si tiene cualquier problema escuchándonos a nosotros o a los presentadores, por favor envíe un mensaje al chat. Thank you for your commitment to creating a multilingual space. Gracias por su compromiso en crear un espacio multilingüe.
Hello. Thank you so much for your patience with us as we are dealing with technical difficulties. But we are back, and I want to just roll it on back and start back after our beautiful presentation by Bancha Lenguas. And I would like to thank Bancha Lenguas. We really appreciate the partnership with you, and we appreciate you growing with us. I am your host, Amy McCoy. My pronouns are she and hers. I am the Roots Oracle of Synthesis. That's my radical title. I'm also known as the Operations Manager. I'm a brown-skinned, full-figured woman wearing a white sweater with thin striped designed overalls underneath. My hair is pulled back into a poofy afro on the top of my head at my crown. My hair is dark brown. I'm also wearing a multicolored scarf around my head as well. Alternate Roots is supported by the generous donations of our members, individual donors, and funders, including Bloomberg Philanthropies, Community Foundation of Greater Atlanta, Decolonizing Wealth Project, the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation, Ford Foundation, Mellon Foundation, the Nathan Cummings Foundation, Cerdna Foundation, United Philanthropy Forum, the Windward Fund, South Arts, and the National Endowment for the Arts. At Alternate Roots, our mission is to support artists in the Southern U.S. who are working to eliminate all forms of oppression. I would like to invite you who are streaming to be active in the chat. If you're having other technical issues yourself, reach out in the chat and we will be having someone there to assist you. At Roots, we observe land acknowledgement. As you are adding your pronouns and your profile name, please drop in the chat where you're streaming from. If you know the name of the indigenous people who were stewards of the land you're currently occupying, drop that in the chat as well. If not, we invite you to learn more about land acknowledgement. There is one website, native-land.ca. It's not the only one, but it's a good one. I would also now like to introduce Jordan Seabury. He is with the USDAC.
Seabury. My pronouns are he, him, his. And as Amy mentioned, I am lucky to serve with the U.S. Department of Arts and Culture as the co-director of Power and Possibility. I'm really excited to be a part of this with you, especially with our good friend Roots, and to help kick off some of this work. I'm also particularly grateful to Alternate Roots for formatting the acknowledgement in this way. What I'll be doing as a non-Indigenous ally is modeling a very simple, very straightforward way of doing a land acknowledgement. But we know in any community there are lots of folks who aren't always comfortable, aren't always on board with why we might encourage folks to do land acknowledgements or why it's important. And so my colleague, Jacqueline Russell, as well as incredible organizer Ashley Minner, will be joining, holding space for a deeper conversation later on in the evening to talk through those bigger questions of why. But in the meantime, I'm going to model what a simple, accessible land acknowledgement can look like for you. And I'll start. Every community owes its existence and its vitality to ancestors who built their hopes, their dreams, and their energy toward making the history that we live in today. At the USDAC, we try to honor that truth with a simple statement, an acknowledgement of the land that we're on, the water that we're drinking, the air that we're breathing. I'm sitting right now on the ancestral lands of the Narragansett and the Wampanoag people in what is, I predict temporarily, called Providence, Rhode Island. I want to pay respects to their elders, past and present, and I'm asking you to take a moment to consider those same legacies of displacement, migration, violence, and settlement that bring us all here today. We at the USDAC call on every individual, organization, house of worship, government agency, from today onward, to open every public gathering with a land acknowledgement. Importantly, this is something that we encourage non-Indigenous allies to model. It's a small but powerful first step toward right relationship. For non-natives, a commitment to land acknowledgement necessitates a corresponding commitment to action. in solidarity with Native communities. The acknowledgement is just the first step. But the fact is, the benefits we enjoy in this country are built on stolen land, with stolen labor and stolen life, and we owe it to all the neighbors around us to tell the truth about that, to take that first tiny step. If you want to do an acknowledgement and you don't know where to start, you can check us out at usdac.us/native land. We've got tons of resources, toolkits, and guides to support you. And you can also reach out to us directly at hello@usdac.us. It goes straight to my inbox. I'm always happy to receive questions, concerns, hesitations. Send it all our way. Again, this is just a very brief model for how you can do it in your own space, but please, please stay tuned for Jacqueline and Ashley's deeper discussion on the why of land acknowledgements. And with that, Amy, I will pass it right back to you.
All right, thank you so much. Our gender equity group reminds us to all change our profile or chat name to include our pronouns. Reminder that this is all of our work to create a space that is safe for our trans, non-binary, intersex, gender nonconforming, two-spirit comrades. Gender ambassadors will also be present throughout the weekend to support us in this. They will be designed by, the video should play here.
We are the Gender Equity Work Group, and we wanted to give you a little more information about us. So this video honors the work done by this team and highlights our importance to alternate roots.
The Gender Equity Work Group is for TGNC NBI2S, which is transgender, nonconforming, non-binary, intersex, and two-spirit folks, and committed accomplices who are interested in building gender literacy and addressing structural and interpersonal gender-based harm at roots through arts, education, and roots policy.
Roots is centering gender equity in an attempt to directly address the sexism, transphobia, and lack of representation that exists within Roots. We imagine a Roots where everyone has the tools and knowledge to engage in conversations around dismantling these forces. Our group has been planning, visioning, and executing ways to manifest this vision. We are here to remind y'all that we are all tasked with upholding Roots values and practices around gender equity. If you have any questions or need support around holding gender equity, please be on the lookout for gender ambassadors in your workshops and sessions.
We ask that you continue to dialogue around gender equity beyond this moment, and that you center those directly impacted by systemic oppression. We also ask that you receive gentle correction as a sign of care, because accountability best happens when we are in relationship with one another. You can contact us at rootsgenderwg@gmail.com.
Black trans lives matter.
TGNC lives matter.
Peace, everybody. I'm Spirit.
I'm Yuta.
And we are part of the Gender Equity Work Group. And we invite you to take a breath with us right now. Inhale.
And we've created this letter for
Hey, y'all.
everyone.
We
No
are
one
the
is
Gender
left
Equity Work
behind.
Group,
It is
and we
for
wanted to give you a little
everyone.
more information about us. So this video
How is your
honors the work
family?
done by this
How is your
team and
family?
highlights our importance
How
to
are your
alternate roots.
ancestors and transcestors?
The Gender Equity Work
How are
Group
those
is for
who are living?
TGNC
How are your
NBI2S, which is
offspring?
transgender,
Your
non-conforming,
and gender
non-binary,
non-conforming children?
intersex, and
Your
two-spirit folks,
grandchildren? How are you preparing for the unborn?
and building gender literacy and addressing
How is-
structural and
How
interpersonal
is your family?
How are you breathing? How were your ancestors breathing? How will your offspring breathe?
How is your family?
How is your family?
Is your home a sanctuary for you? Is your home a sanctuary for your ancestors? Is your home a sanctuary for your offspring?
How is your family?
How is your family?
Is your home a sanctuary for the yet to be born? Are you creating a world where your ancestors and transistors are fully expressed? Are you creating a world where you can be fully expressed? Are you creating a world where the unborn will fully be able to be expressed?
How is your family?
How is your family?
Given that they could possibly be a trans and or gender non-conforming person, given that they could possibly be non-binary and or an intersex person, given that they could possibly be a two-spirit person, given that you could be a TGNC plus person.
How is your family?
How is your family?
How are your ancestors and transistors? How are those who are living? How are your offspring, your non-binary and gender non-conforming children, your grandchildren? How are you preparing for the unborn? How is your family?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Ramos. I am the Executive Director of Alternate Roots. I am calling in today from Bulbancha, now known as New Orleans, Louisiana. I am wearing a black tank top with a gray sweatshirt. I have brown skin and a curly top of salt and pepper hair. And I'm standing in my kitchen, which has a wood ceiling and wood behind me. I'm really happy to be here with you all, and thank you for bearing with us with these technical difficulties. Welcome to Roots Week 2021. It is so good to be in shared space with you all. And while we're still only sharing in virtual space, we know the time is coming when we will be back together, asking for consent to give the biggest hugs we've ever given each other. We are so thrilled that we did not let COVID keep us apart. We have worked hard as a beloved community to get each other through 2020 and now moving through 2021. There is a light and we can see it and we know it is just right there and we know you see it too. Our community, grounded in sharing space, may not be put on hold. Nothing will keep us apart. We will be together soon again, my loves. And for that, I can't wait. I wanted to take this time to personally lift up the Roots team, who have risen to the call of 2020 and beyond and put the members before their personal needs during this incredible, trying time. I have personally witnessed their love and care for all of you, and am humbled for the work and the commitment they have given of themselves throughout the past year and a half. Our cultural organizing team, Wendy, Indy, Natalie, and Lauren, for your tireless work for this Roots Weekend event, and for all the other ways you hold the work on the ground through blood, sweat, and tears to get our folks what they need when they need it. From porch sit-ins to hotel rooms during the freeze to the relaunching of the virtual Ely just this week. You all are what passion and commitment look like in real time. Our communications team, Nicole, Jen, Mel, and Leticia, for amplifying our members and their work, holding our historical legacy and stories with integrity and care, and telling our stories in the most beautiful, inclusive, and creative ways, expanding us through language justice, ASL, and working to be sure that the world knows we are here and about the important, impactful work we are doing. Our operations team, and special shout out to Amy McCoy for holding down the work so Paige could realize her 6-month paid sabbatical after 6 long years of service to Roots. For cutting those crisis checks, getting money into the hands of our members, and all the while keeping our staff paid and honored with benefits and deserved time off. Our strategic partnership team, Clarissa and Sharella, for getting $1.2 million out the door in COVID relief, all while keeping our regular regranting programs on track and on time. Our development team and Roots' first ever development director, DeMarcus, and soon to be development associate, who have held our current funding partnerships, landed the organization's first social justice funders, and in addition, writing joint applications and partnerships with the Southern Power Fund, our Ely partners, securing several new funders for us. And finally, the executive team and Ryan, who is the magic connector and coordinator who keeps us all organized, scheduled, and Zoomified. When I was hired in January of 2018, we were a staff of 6. And one thing was abundantly clear to me as the new executive director: we had way more work than people, and that was just not going to be sustainable. We had and have an amazing team, and I wanted to ensure that we could get the support that they needed to hold the work that has been called on by you, our membership, and the field. And I think now, as we have grown to a staff of 15, we are close to achieving that goal. I love each and every one of them more than I can say. And hold on tight, Rooters. Things are about to get really exciting with all this people power. We are committed to keep our 4 new hires at the top of 2020, and we needed them to answer the call from the field and you to support, to fund, to love our members through this unthinkable time we found ourselves in. From the pandemic to the racial uprisings, to the election, to the Capitol takeover, we had so many dragons to slay in 2020, and we fought hard with our Ely partners, NALAC, the Pai Foundation, First Peoples Fund, and SIP Culture to secure $5 million in funding to distribute to our collective communities, because we knew national funds would not reach our folks. We partnered as a pillar organization as part of the Southern Power Fund, one of only 2 arts organizations in that collective, with the goal of raising $10 million for folks on the front line in the South. And y'all, we have raised $16 million to date to distribute. We have worked with our partners at Performing Arts Alliance to advocate in DC virtually to ensure that gig workers and individual artists wouldn't be left out of the relief funding coming out in the relief packages for artists, while committing and doubling down to our values of equity and inclusion by refusing to participate with a large national organization whose behaviors with their employees did not match their equity statements, and managed to get over a dozen national organizations to stand in solidarity with us. Executive committee cannot be left out of the affirmations. Their steadfast leadership and willingness to support the staff and me as executive director during this challenging time was frankly remarkable. I am incredibly grateful for their leadership throughout 2020 and 2021, and for modeling what people-centered leadership looks like during a pandemic. So thank you both to the 2020 and 2021 Executive Committee. And so now, here in 2021, we double down on our commitment that is written in our mission statement, the protection of the natural world. We are committing to environmental and climate justice as we move through this year and beyond. Our 2021 theme, Southern Soil, Collective Liberation and Harmony with the Land, focuses our attention on the land and the artistic and organizing practices that can deepen our harmony with it. We commit to grow our understanding of the intersections of climate, racial justice, indigenous rights, migration, gentrification, agriculture, and food access. So welcome to Roots Weekend 2021. And while we know folks are eager to meet in person, we want to be respectful of our staff and their desire to stay safe and honor that not everyone in our community is financially at a place to be able to start traveling up to North Carolina and Lutheridge. But stay tuned. Our cultural organizing team has ideated some amazing alternatives to this in-person convening that will be shared shortly. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your commitment to Roots. And if there's anything that we can do to support you during this time with us this weekend, please don't hesitate to let us know. We are beyond thrilled to have you join us. Welcome to your first virtual Roots Weekend. And in the words of Barack Obama, we are the first generation to feel the effects of climate change and the last generation who can do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Let's hear it for our vision keeper, everybody. Just give some love in the chat. Have that appreciation coming from Michelle. Great leadership during this time. I just want to say to everyone, thank you again for rocking and rolling with us during these difficulties. But now I'm ready. I hope you're ready. Because if you're ready, it is time for our first session of Roots Weekend 2021. I am so honored and excited to be participating this evening. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Jacqueline Russell with why land acknowledgement is important, why it matters. Take it away, Jacqueline.
Okay, all right. So we are going to try this again. And my name is Jacqueline Russell. I am a citizen of the Diné Nation. I am connecting from the lands of the Tamayama people, which is also in English known as the Pueblo of Santa Ana in north central so-called New Mexico. I am the Director of Decolonized Futures and Radical Dreams at the U.S. Department of Arts and Culture, and am so delighted and just really excited to get to see my dear sister, Ashley Minner, in this conversation, and that Roots Weekend virtual was an opportunity for us to reconvene and have this really awesome conversation about why land acknowledgement matters. We are going to jump right into the juiciness. I want to welcome formally and introduce Ashley. And so with that, Ashley Minner is a community-based visual artist from Baltimore, Maryland, and an enrolled member of the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina. She received her MFA in 2011 and her MA in 2007 in the Community Arts from Maryland Institute College of Art, and she earned her PhD in the midst of the pandemic in American Studies from the University of Maryland College Park. Ashley currently works as a professor of the practice and folklorist in the Department of American Studies at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, where she also serves as the director of the minor in public humanities. I was really excited to read this next part of her bio. She will begin work as a curator at the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian this fall. She has been a rooter for 10 years and is a member of the USDAC's working group for the Honor Native Land Initiative. And I'm so delighted to be able to join you here, Ashley, and I'm super excited to have this conversation about what land acknowledgement means. And so I am super, delighted. So I think we can bring Ashley up onto the screen, yeah?
Hey, Roots family, how's it going? Thank you so much for the introduction, Jacqueline. It's such an honor to be in conversation with you, always. And thanks to Roots for providing a time and a space.
Absolutely. We all got to hear Jordan at the beginning of the program give a land acknowledgement, and I'm curious, just how would you preface or highlight things that are important about land acknowledgement, that folks who may be unfamiliar with the practice should know?
Well, no matter where you live, if you are in the Americas and if you're in the continental, now called United States of America, you are on occupied native land. And that means that the land where you are has a native past, present, and future. And it's important for you to recognize that the structure that is the United States of America is built on a scaffolding based in the erasure of native peoples from this land. So it's a good idea to do a little bit of homework and realize whose land you're on and who's living there now. I mean, what would you say, Jacqueline?
So I think that, yes, underscoring your points, I think that the other thing I would add to this is that it's a practice that is very accessible, and what we'll get to in a little bit, right? Accessible to anyone to be able to enter into. And it really does exist on an arc toward advocating and being an allyship and being an accomplice with and for Indigenous people, right? So I do think that for as much of the critique that there is about land acknowledgements, that there's actually so much that it can lead to, as the springboard. And I'm also we got to meet and come together, although I had heard of your name and heard your work through a lot of mutual friends who had been to Roots Week previously. But we officially got to meet each other right before the pandemic, in February of 2020. The U.S. Department of Arts and Culture and our Honor Native Land project convened a national group of artists, Indigenous activists and scholars from across Turtle Island to come together. And it was really exciting that as a project, we also got to formally partner with Alternate Roots and to bring rooters. I now know the familial name, rooters, to come together here in Tiwa territory in so-called Albuquerque. And our convening was really to, it also included non-Indigenous allies to really think about how can we conceptualize the work going forward. For those that are not familiar with the USDAC, we actually launched in 2016 a Honor Native Land acknowledgement toolkit. So that is downloadable on our website, and I believe we have the links in the background that somebody can drop in the chat for folks that maybe haven't seen that. But our convening was really as a follow-up to be a follow-up to the toolkit, to be able to think about, okay, naming the land is really can be the very first step in providing some truth telling, and then what can happen next. And there were so many different ideas. It was such I think, a radical imagining, like in its own right, of a convening. We spent altogether about 2 days together, getting to have conversations, to provide critique about the practice of land acknowledgement. And so I'm just wondering, Ashley, like, do you want to share, like, and provide some context for that gathering and just takeaways that you left with from that on our native land convening?
Well, I guess more context would be that the original Honor Native Land Initiative was so wildly successful. Like, people everywhere were downloading the toolkit and reaching out about, how do I do a land acknowledgement? Wow, I really know, because as you all know, I am from and still live in Baltimore, Maryland, which is the ancestral homeland of the Piscataway and the Susquehannock people. And I am like everyone's favorite Indian here, or the one Indian they know. And I got so many emails and calls about helping with land acknowledgements that by the time I made it to this convening, I kind of had a bad attitude about it. Like, this has created a whole second full-time job for me. But thankfully, I was there with some really visionary folks. And my biggest takeaway from the gathering, I have to say, came from a visioning exercise we were invited to do about the places where we live, or the places where we're from, and what they look like in the future. And this is kind of couched in some real darkness that comes out of academia, and that's just the headspace I was in at the time. Because when you go through the kind of education that I have, they teach you that basically systems of oppression don't end, settler colonialism will not end, racism cannot be undone, et cetera, et cetera. And like, my artist brain, of course, is railing against these ideas, but I was partnered with an artist named Demian Dene Ghazi, and they are constantly envisioning other futures, right? Like, a way out of this. And the takeaway that I had was that art is my superpower, and that we as artists are able to think through and beyond what we have right now. We're like, our imaginations are the answer. I really believe that. What was your biggest takeaway, Jacqueline?
Yeah, I love that you, like, called Dimian into, like, our space and conversation, because they are an individual whose perspective I just utterly value. And I think that one of I think, like, I had two takeaways, and they really kind of centered on this idea that, and I remember Courtney Leonard, who is a member of the Shinnecock Nation in New York, who at the time was based in New Mexico and is now based in Anishinaabe lands in Minnesota. They had shared how, as a member of the Shinnecock Nation, they are water people. They are ocean people specifically. They are a community that has, like, long legacies of fishing and whaling, and being in communion and community, like, with, like, water. And so she came, I think, with this very important, like, knowledge, and that she passed on to me as somebody who grew up, like, in high desert, right? Of just reminding me, and, like, calling in all of our awareness around the importance of not just honoring land, but honoring, like, water, honoring air, like, honoring, like, cosmos. And that, like, expansion was something that really, I think, shifted and helped me really indigenize, like, my thought, right? Like, my remembering of, like, actually, yeah, like, it is a practice that is multidimensional. It occupies so many different multiverses when we enter into this practice of acknowledgement. And it also reminded me that, like, in that reframing, I think it's also this piece of, there's this opportunity to continually grow within our practice of land acknowledgement. Like, even as somebody is, like me, who's a Diné person, who's very much aware of the interconnectedness, or grew up with this like awareness of interconnectedness of all living life and all living beings. And to remind myself that even in a practice that I advocate for, to continually come back to like those indigenous thoughts and indigenous like roots is really important. And I think embedded in all of that reminded me that this practice is something that can really provide a opportunity for continual growth, like in our framing. So really like appreciate our gathering so much. And I think it should be said that even in our conversations, like as we transitioned into sheltering in place, like this was in a lot of ways like the last trip that many of us took, because it was like right at the end of February. And so it was like this place of like really, I think there was a lot of like nostalgia and community that we found there. And then also like that we held on to like in our work, moving forward from that space. Is there anything else you want to add, Ashley?
I think when we were planning for this, we had a really great conversation about that illustrates what Jacqueline was just saying about how our own thinking continues to evolve. Do you want to say what you were saying about the language we use, like territory and ownership?
Yeah, I can definitely. I think that was another, and I can't remember who shared this at the convening, but their perspective that they imparted to us was really how, a lot of times in land acknowledgement, we name, like we are in like Tiwa territory, we are in Anishinaabe territory. And this individual, who I will have to go back to my notes and find, was really challenging even that, like the term territory, of the perspective that word really does actually connect to like this settler colonial perspective of like settling into place. And if we think back, and for those that may not, or maybe have a little awareness, right? Like I live in like the western part of the of Turtle Island, or of the so-called United States, and the idea of territories was really like Indian territory, Arizona territory, like that. Those were the settler colonial names, and so it really, I think that particular link that this individual provided was something that really allowed me to challenge, just like, there is an underlining signifier that we're using. So I've really tried to even like deconstruct like my use of the term territory, like in the practice of land acknowledgement, of saying like homelands, or homeland community, when I'm referencing, a place where like an institution exists and the land that it sits on, right? So the homeland community is a community who have had ancestral and current stewardship and future stewardship like of that place. So that's something that I also carry with me, like in the examination of like, how else can I continue to like indigenize and also deconstruct like this practice of land acknowledgement.
And we had hoped to show y'all just a screenshot of what is now called the United States of America from the Native Land CA website that was mentioned. And what's so beautiful about it are all the layers and the organic shapes representing who lived where, and they're overlapping. So it's we have to remember that the borders we have now are pretty artificial, superficial. They crossed us. So yeah.
Right. And what I impart to folks is like when they have questions about, well, I looked up on the map, where my home is or where our organization is, and there are 4 different like, tribal nations that exist there. And I'm like, well, that's great. Like, it's great that you have that challenge. And oftentimes the question is like, well, who do I privilege or who do I prioritize? And my answer is always like all. Like all of those communities are ones that have ties, because that history is unique to that place. But oftentimes The reason for those overlaps is because as we can look out our windows at those of us who have access to that ability now, and we can see that like the trees and the air and like the flowers and the insects, like they don't know boundaries, right? Like, so when we think about the ancestral ways that our indigenous ancestors lived off the land, that was very much determined by the crops that grew, by the seeds that needed to be harvested in a place, right? That all of those like ways of sustaining oneself were determined by the living world around them, which do not still to this day exist in that colonial structure of like knowing like this is the territory or this is the boundary between place. And so I think that that's really important as well. I know that we wanted to, I'm trying to think about like which questions we want to highlight. And I'm wondering if maybe a good place is really to think about like a call to action as we kind of transition into the next part of the program for this evening. But I'm wondering, Ashley, like, what is a call to action you want to leave people with as they prepare to integrate land acknowledgement into their work and lives?
I would encourage folks to do your own homework first. Make friends with a librarian. They're the best people. And also, like, Google is free. And also, when you see foolishness happening in life, like, in your everyday life, and then also in the media and popular culture, please say something. Be a good ally. Like, why is Rick Santorum still employed? So, what do you think, Jacqueline?
Yeah, I think that there is a really great opportunity for individuals to start land acknowledgement practice, and this can be something that's done at the dinner table, like in your home. It can be something that you take with you to work. I've been really excited lately that what I'm seeing from a lot of colleagues, not just in arts and culture spaces, but just general communications that I'm getting from folks in their signature next to their pronouns. There's also an integration of like where this email is being sent from, or even statements of acknowledging that even like the internet like is a colonized space, right? And so acknowledging these things allow and remind us that there are systems of power that continue to be in action and work towards the dispossession of Native people from our ancestral lands. I think that, to your point, Ashley, about taking action, like last week we saw on Instagram and Facebook on the Day of Action for and Awareness of Missing Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, Trans, Two-Spirit individuals and relatives, the mass erasure of awareness posts and advocacy posts and activist posts that were really trying to establish just the epidemic that like our indigenous nations are facing in both what is known today as Canada and the United States, right? And the violence that is experienced by members of our indigenous communities. And there was just complete disabling of those stories, of those posts. And so this example is one that really shows like as Black, Indigenous people of color, we don't have to be reminded of like silencing and erasure as being an active tool of white supremacy, but this one is a very contemporary and recent example of the ways that Indigenous voices like were and have been silenced. And so I think that there's a way to be able to take action that you can find many different entry points to the advocacy and like work towards the realization of like full Indigenous sovereignty on behalf of Indigenous communities, like as an ally and accomplice.
Said.
Well, I'm so grateful to be in this conversation in this community, and I'm so delighted to be able to take part in the other events of Roots Weekend, and excited to see all the goodness of the chat. So yeah, for this invitation, and yeah, Ashley for joining us at USDAC and Roots.
Lots of love to you, Jacqueline. Thank you. And thank you to Roots for the invitation.
Thank you so much for that exchange, Jacqueline and Ashley. We really appreciate it. Land affirmations, land acknowledgements is something that is really important. We are weaving that into our culture, and we, as Roots, want to be the best allies that we can be for First Nations and Native people. I want to really thank Jordan Seabury, Michelle Ramos, Jacqueline Russell, and Ashley Minner. Thank you so much for tonight, for bringing your grace, your wisdom, as well as your intellect to our first session of Roots Weekend 2021. Please show some affirmation into the chat. Show some gratitude for everyone who presented something tonight. Please just big everyone up. Show love, show love, show love, show love. Also, let's give gratitude and affirmation to all who supported this session. Let's give it up for the tech team. Yes, the tech team. It's never an easy job. Never an easy job. Bancha Lenguas, thank you so much for partnering with us. And we grow as we take on language justice, as well as our interpreters for holding it down for everyone. Please give all of the love. And to the Roots staff, thank you so much. Thank you for all of the hard work that you're doing. And thank you for joining. Thank you for joining tonight on the first night. Now, as always, there's some announcements, and I'm going to go through them all. So every single evening after our sessions, we will have porch sitting. So if you want to spend some time debriefing, if you want to spend some time connecting with other viewers, you are welcome to attend our porch sitting sessions. Again, they happen after every session. This is a time for us to connect, chat. It's a virtual space. We will be using Zoom. The links will be provided in the chat. So please, someone, if you haven't already, please drop that porch sitting chat for tonight in, and please join. We want to be as fellowship convening as we possibly can in this virtual time. All right. Our Roots Weekend microsite. I know y'all seen it. I know you were amazed. It is beautiful. It is gorgeous. It holds all of the information. If you, you'll find your Roots Weekend schedule, live streaming schedule, live streaming links. You'll find the virtual art gallery, Southern Tongue. Community agreements are there. There's a live blog happening on there right now. All the information is right there on the microsite. And I want to give it up for the comms team for bringing that on in and doing a masterful job of creating that microsite. Please check out, if you'd like, our Roots Slack. This is an application that is on your cell phone, also on your computers. It is a digital space for deeper engagement. You can stay informed on the front porch, hashtag front porch. Channels are easy to make, and you can choose your own topic. So this is open and available to you to be engaged and connect during our Roots weekend. So please join Roots Slack via the link in the chat. Someone will be dropping that. And you can also get that link from our microsite. Everything's on that microsite. Everyone is invited, please. Everyone is invited to register for the workshops on this weekend. All will be on Zoom. The microsite has all of the details. And tomorrow's workshops are Deconstructing Gender, and that will be with Spirit McIntyre and Ryan Crane. They did a fantastic job last year at Roots Week 2020. So we will be revisiting that. Please sign up and attend. There is also a workshop on the art of natural pigment. So those two will be happening simultaneously. Please register and attend. And that will be with Marlena Robbins. So Marlena Robbins will be going through natural pigment making. These workshops both start at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And they go until 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right. If you have a workshop or conversation that you want to host with the Roots Weekend participants, please sign up for the Self-Organized Space. Zoom links will be provided, and you can engage however you see fit. So please stay engaged. Please organize, have conversations, have art making, have parties, whatever floats your boat. We have Self-Organized Space for you for that. And Saturday night, it wouldn't be a gathering if we didn't have a late night. So Saturday night, we'll have a virtual late night. Roots Signature, yes. There's a virtual open mic. There's a sign-up sheet. So if you're interested in performing, there will be a link in the chat. We all about the links in the chat, people. The links in the chat. So do the link in the chat if you'd like to sign up to be a part of the open mic for our Roots Week late night. And this is happening on Saturday evening. And finally, we have a Roots Weekend playlist. It's on our Roots Spotify. Guess where that's going to be? In a link in the chat. So you can click on that and you can have a fantastic time. Music, it is a collective. It is actually curated by staff and whoever else wants to be a part of that curation. You can send also suggestions to be added to that Spotify. So get in, have fun, use that playlist at your self-organized party. Yes, I know I'm giving you ideas. All right, so we'll be back in virtual space with you tomorrow morning, Saturday, May 15th, for our healing and wellness session. Artful Grounding with Healing and the Teal Team. That will start at 11 a.m. Eastern until noon, or 10 a.m. Central Standard Time until 11 a.m. So that is our list, but the night is not over. No, it is not over. Please remember, again, to check out Roots Weekend site for all of the daily details. Most up-to-date information will be on the website. That is the microsite for the Roots Weekend. And actually this evening, if you feel so inclined, we would appreciate it if you would come back with us at 8 p.m. tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, or what is that? 7:30 Eastern Central Standard Time for our next session, which is Growing in the South. This will be hosted by our very own Brooks Emanuel. And thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your patience during the technical difficulties. And I will see you soon. Good night.
There's not enough money to make. Give a young savage a break. There's not enough food on my plate. Give me a reason to pray. You ready? Just let us go crazy. I can remember my name. Goddamn, I'm a bit out of place. I can remember my name. The faces, they all look the same. I can remember my name. I'm a savage from back in the day. I can remember my name.
Talk about us in arcade. Nietzsche with attitude, that new NWA. I say what I mean and I mean what I say. What you say? Born to lose, but I'm built to reclaim. Nietzsche gang, Nietzsche gang, Nietzsche gang. Moccasin tan on everything. Thank the creator for Hova. I'm smudging the dirt off my shoulder. Indigenous bastards, we be the baddest ones with the status. Diamond like Dallas, I'm proud of me. Beer on my hand, no sobriety. Savage as fuck to society. Man, they been the only way. That's work to a shit way. Humble with a little bit of Kanye. Nietzsche about to go crazy.
Not enough money to make. Give a young savage a break. There's not enough food on my plate. Give me a reason to pray. You ready? Just let us go crazy. I can remember my name. Goddamn, I'm a bit out of place. I can remember my name. The faces, they all look the same. I can remember my name. I'm a savage from back in the day. I can remember my name. Fuck the fame, I'll be switching lanes. Let me navigate, no compass. We against the grain, we are not the same. We ain't about to get lost in the jungle. Now you're feeling uncomfortable, that's where I'm coming from. You're coming from the grind and I'm coming from the struggle. We be on the next wave, yelling out cowbunga. Niggas about to rock the world.